Hi everyone, welcome to J&D Gardens. Today we're going to show you how to set up your seed starting trays. First of all, why do we even use them? The biggest benefit of seed starting trays is that it allows you to start 72 plants in a small tray like this one. Now this is a big deal, especially during winter when you want to get a jump start on your planting when space is limited. Now there's two methods for using starter trays. You can plant the seeds directly into the cells and let them germinate that way, or you can pre-germinate them and transplant the seedlings into the starter trays. We'll put a link to our Germinating Seeds video down below. So let's talk about the kind of soil we're going to use. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to Dan to talk about seed starting mixes.
Thanks, Jackie. So the biggest deal that I see gardeners make is what kind of starter mix to use when planting their seedlings. Now everybody's so scared that their seedlings aren't going to take off, so they go and rush and buy the most expensive starter mix out there. And others will listen to other people saying, I have the best starter mix recipe, so go with that. And are they all good? Yeah, they probably are. Do we make our own starter mix here at J&D? Yeah, we do. But we kind of do it for a different reason. Not necessarily because it's the best, but because it comes out to be cheaper in the long run. We use so much of it that it's more cost effective for us to make it on our own. Now, we're not going to make a starter mix here today. We actually make our starter mix at the end of the year, so we're ready for the new year when it's seed starting time. So if you're interested in that, we will have a video for that, but it'll come out at the end of the fall, early winter. So if you don't need massive amounts of starter mix, there's no sense in making it on your own. I would tell you to buy a store-bought one. It'll make life easier in the long run. So let's just talk about the things that are inside the starter mixes. Let's start with the base. Now for starter mixes, the base is usually made of something like peat moss or cocoa core, which I do not have with me today. And what that is ground up coconut husks. And the reason that they use that is because it's a very lightweight material and it's very airy, so it's great for seedlings to grow through. As opposed to something like compost. You want to stay away from a starter mix that has compost in it, and that's because compost has a lot of organic material in it and possibly insects that aren't great for the roots. You don't want anything to damage that. And then they have things like perlite and vermiculite. Now, with and a few other key ingredients like, not key, but a few other ingredients like fertilizers and stuff like that, which we won't really get into. But those are the main things. Now, the real difference that I find between the starter mixes and the potting mix is that starter mixes, and like this is from Jiffy starter mix, and I've used it in the past. It's great. It's well, there's two things to it. One is it's a lot finer. And I don't know if you can see that on the camera. It has a lot less chunks of debris in it, like twigs and or bark and stuff like that. It's ground up a lot finer, and it's a lot more airy, as opposed to something like a potting mix, which has the same materials in it. Like I said, you see the perlite and vermiculite, but it has some like bigger, getting it everywhere, bigger like little twigs and little pieces in it that it's not as fine. Now, for a potting mix, it's fine. The plants don't mind that, but for starter mix, you don't want any kind of obstructions for the roots to grow through. So if you want to save money in the long run, instead of buying a small bag like this, which is what, like $8 maybe, sometimes it's on sale, maybe more, for what, 12 quarts, and this one is 50 quarts, and it's about $15. And to be honest, this is what I actually, this is what I used to use before I started making my own potting mix. I would use this before I started making my own starter mix. I used to use the moisture control, and what you do is since it's the same materials, you run it through a sifter. Now, you've seen me use my box sifter a million times, so I'm not going to do it again. But what you want to do is get the box sifter over a wheelbarrow, get your potting mix, dump it in there, and sift it all out. And what you'll do, you'll get all the small debris out of it. And before you know it, when you see what's remainder, it's going to look very much like the starter mix. and it'll save you money in the long run, and you'll have a lot more of it. So I hope this made sense, and I hope this helps you out. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jackie.
Okay, now that we have our mix, we can start filling in our trays. So let's get started. Take your tray, and I have my handy dandy scoop, and basically you just start filling in the trays. Now, this is going to get a little dirty because you're going to get some soil on the side, and all you do is just scoop it up and put it back in the cells. Not a problem. And what you want to do is you want to pack it down a little bit. You don't have to pack it down completely, but you want to get the air out of the cells. So your best bet is to just put as much soil on the top, in the middle, and then you just kind of brush it along to fill every cell. The corners are a little more difficult, and believe me, you're going to get soil on the sides, but like I said, you just scoop it up and you put it back in. Nothing gets wasted. Alright, we've almost got the whole thing filled, believe it or not. Sometimes this is a little time consuming, but you want to make sure that every cell is filled, and you want to make sure that all air pockets are out. So if it takes a little bit more time to make sure that that happens, it's worth it. Okay, we got one side filled, and one more, and then that's it. Okay, yeah, see, some are going on the side. That's okay, we'll just scoop it up. And just kind of brush it along. Make sure you get everything filled. Pack it down a little bit, like I said. And scoop it along, and I think that's it. And that's it. It's that simple.
Okay, so we're going to start with the first method, and that is the pre-germinated seeds. So we're taking our celosia seeds that germinated. We're opening up the paper towel and seeing how well they did, and they really did. And then we're planting them into the seed starting trays. And you can see how long they got, and with such a short time period. Now, celosia seeds tend to take very well to the pre-germination method. You don't have to do that with all seeds though, and you'll see that coming up. Okay, so this is a little, takes a little time, but you know what, it's worth it, and we get really great results with pre-germination. Okay, so we're gonna actually punch the holes into the soil in the seed starting tray, and now we're gonna start the second method, which is just putting the seeds, and these are marigold seeds, and we're going to put them into the soil, directly into the soil. So they were not pre-germinated, they're just the seeds going in the soil, that's it. And once you put them in the soil, you cover up the hole, so that way you can keep track of where you are. Because once you get into this, you can very easily forget where you put a seed, and you'll put 2 or 3 seeds, and you don't want that. So again, this takes some time, but it's really worth it. Like I say, we get great results with this too. Marigolds seem to love this method. Okay, so once you're done with the seed trays, you put everything away and you water everything down, and most important, don't forget to label. I've stressed that enough. And then you stick them in the seed tray.
All right, now that all the seedlings are in the tray, they all have their tags, let's give them some water. Now, you can use a small watering can, but we like to actually use a spray bottle. This way, they're not drowning out the seedlings or the seeds because they're still very delicate at this point. So we're just going to give it a little bit of water. You don't have to give a ton because they are still very dainty, just a little bit. All right, these trays are ready to go, so let's head over to the grow rack. So we're here at the grow rack, and we have our lights all set up and our heat mats ready to go. So we're going to take the seedling tray and we're going to place it on the rack and let the lights do their magic. Now take this other tray that we did earlier with the seeds that still have to be germinated, and we're going to place them on the heat mat, which is nice and toasty, by the way, and we're going to let it do its thing. Now we don't want to forget the most important thing. Fill up the trays with water because the plants suck it up quickly. Be sure to check on them daily so that they don't dry out. Also, we like to use dome covers because it creates condensation inside, which helps stimulate plant growth. So we're going to check on these in a few days and see how they grow. Okay, so it's been a little over a week and I think they're looking great. And don't forget, again, to give them water. These guys get really, really thirsty. So it's been a little less than a month and these are definitely ready to be up potted.
Hey darling, I got another tray for you. So how are they all looking?
They're actually looking really great. The celoseas, their leaves are standing upright and their stems are nice and strong. So be sure to catch our video on up potting. We'll leave a link below. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. And be sure to hit like and subscribe. So until next time, remember, yes we canna.